Most people think dreams are private, just figments of their own subconscious. Flickering images, leftover thoughts, bizarre narratives made up by a brain trying to organize its day. But that's a shallow interpretation of something far more profound. Because sometimes, what you dream wasn't yours to begin with. And sometimes, you're not the only one dreaming it. All over the world, from indigenous tribes to ancient mystery schools, there have been whispers of what are now called shared dreams. Two people, sometimes strangers, waking up with the same memory of the same place, the same events, the same conversation. They weren't dreaming alone. They were meeting, somewhere beyond the limits of the physical, in what Thoth and others described as the astral commons, a realm where minds untethered from bodies can converge. You might brush it off as coincidence, but science is slowly catching up. Studies in consciousness research, including work by pioneers like Dr. Stanley Krippner and Dr. Stanley Krippner, Montague Ullman, have documented cases where participants described the same specific dream symbols or environments without prior communication. In some experiments, one person was designated as the sender, thinking of an image before sleep, while the receiver would dream that exact image, often without any clue where it came from. This isn't imagination, this is resonance. In the astral realm, where thoughts and energy move faster than words, your vibration acts like a signal. If it matches someone else's, you link. That's why some dream encounters feel so vivid, so real. You weren't hallucinating, you were meeting. And sometimes, that meeting holds meaning far beyond anything you've processed in waking life. People have described connecting with loved ones who had passed, conversations so detailed, so emotionally charged, they changed their lives. Others recall encounters with guides, teachers, even beings of light who communicated without language, passing on knowledge that couldn't be explained, but somehow was understood. Some of these encounters lead to emotional healing. Others plant seeds for creativity, innovation, or courage that emerge weeks or months later. And perhaps most mysteriously, some dreams slip through with warnings, predictions, or visions of events yet to come. They're dismissed until the event unfolds in real life, exactly as foreseen. You may have experienced this yourself, dreaming of a conversation before it happens, of meeting someone you'd never met, or witnessing an event with eerie detail, only to see it occur days or weeks later. These aren't fantasy. They're fragments of time slipping out of sequence. In sleep, the illusion of linear time weakens. Your consciousness, free from the chains of chronology, wanders into the field of potential. The past, present, and future become accessible simultaneously, not because time has changed, but because your perception has. You step out of the timeline and into the field. And sometimes, you bring pieces of that field back with you. What we call precognition, Thoth called remembrance. To him, all time was one eternal moment, and the human mind, when freed from the body, could touch any part of it. Not all dreams are visions, but many visions do come through dreams, especially when the conscious mind is finally quiet enough to listen. Still, not all dream encounters are comforting. Some feel invasive, others feel like battles. And in rare cases, people have reported being drained, challenged, or manipulated by energies they couldn't explain. This is the other side of dream travel. It's not a playground, it's a realm. And like any realm, it has layers, laws, and inhabitants. Just as you can bump into a familiar soul, you can also cross paths with confused or wandering energies, souls that haven't moved on, or fragmented aspects of yourself. You may even encounter symbolic projections of your own inner wounds, masquerading as something external. That's why dream encounters, no matter how beautiful or terrifying, must be interpreted with care. They're not always literal, but they are always reflective. This is where discernment becomes essential. The more grounded you are in waking life, the clearer your dreams become. The more intentional you are before sleep, the more empowered you are within the astral. And when your emotional energy is stable, when you're anchored in love, not fear, you begin to attract higher encounters and experience deeper clarity. Sleep, then, becomes more than escape. It becomes communion with others, with guides, with your deeper self, and with the parts of reality that only reveal themselves when the veil is thin. There's a moment just before you fall asleep where something powerful happens, but almost no one talks about it. That liminal space between waking and sleeping is more than just a fading of awareness. It's an opening, a gateway, a programming interface for the subconscious. And if you don't use it, someone or something else will. Your subconscious doesn't argue, it doesn't debate, it receives and stores. It's the soil where every belief, habit, fear, and possibility is planted. And the moments before sleep are when that soil is most fertile. This is why so many esoteric traditions placed enormous importance on bedtime rituals, invocations, and focused intention setting. Because in that softening of the conscious mind, your inner world becomes programmable. What you tell yourself before sleep matters more than what you tell yourself during the day. That quiet, barely there moment is where you cast the seed into your dream, into your future, into the deeper corridors of your psyche. Think about it. What do most people do in that space? They scroll, they worry, they replay regrets or dread the next morning. And so that's what the subconscious absorbs. That's what becomes the lens for their astral experience. You descend into sleep, vibrating with fear, scarcity, or distraction, and you wonder why your dreams feel chaotic, or why you wake up still exhausted. But what happens when you intentionally shape that moment? When you speak to your inner mind with purpose? Thoth taught that the mind is the architect of reality. That thought, when focused and directed, is the first tool of creation. And that the pre-sleep state, what modern researchers call the hypnagogic state, is the golden window for influence. Your conscious mind begins to dissolve, and the subconscious opens wide, listening without filters. This is where mantras, affirmations, visualizations, and quiet intentions slip past the gate and become law. Want to dream lucidly? Set the intention. Want guidance from a deeper part of yourself? Ask, directly and simply. Want to rewire a belief that's been holding you back? Plant the opposite statement with feeling. It doesn't require ceremony or ritual, though those help. It just requires presence. The mind is always listening. The only question is, who's doing the talking? And here's something the system would prefer you never realize. Your dream experience isn't passive. It's not random. It's reactive to the vibration you bring into it. A fearful mind will sink into dense layers of the astral, encountering symbols of anxiety or struggle. A clear, calm, open heart will float higher, accessing spaces that offer insight, healing, and peace. Where your consciousness goes during sleep is determined not just by curiosity, but by coherence. This is why children often experience vivid, fantastical dreams. They haven't yet been conditioned to doubt or suppress their inner senses. But as adults, that openness closes. Slowly. We're told dreams don't matter. We're told not to talk about them. And we lose access, not because it's gone, but because we've stopped knocking. You can return, but you must knock with intention. And if you've ever wondered how some people seem to manifest faster, how their intuition seems sharper, or how they just know things, it often starts here, with what they do before sleep, because that's when they're aligning their inner field, choosing what to feed the subconscious, and giving direction to the soul before its nightly flight. It's not magic, it's practice. But to the untrained, it looks like magic. This is the technology hidden in plain sight. Not devices or machines, but the mind. Not the internet, but the internet. And just like any system, if you don't program it, something else will. Media, fear, unresolved emotions, or the echo of yesterday's stress. These are the default coders. You must interrupt the pattern. Start with one sentence, one image, one feeling. That's enough to begin. The subconscious doesn't need volume. It needs clarity. And when you begin treating sleep as a conscious descent into deeper layers of reality, not just rest, but ritual, You reclaim a kind of power that's been stolen through neglect. You stop being a passenger in your dream world and start becoming a navigator. So tonight, just before you drift off, pause, close your eyes, not in surrender, but in command. Whisper your intention, not to the room, but to the realm, and then let go.